You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here today on this Training Thursday edition of the Cabral Concept. Looking forward to getting back to my roots, talking about workout, exercise, and hot topics of the day. So one of the reasons that came to me for this show is that I'm working out. It's not a new gym, but it's a gym that I just joined about 6 months ago. And I wanted to join a new gym to kind of spark some new life within myself in order to push myself, to start new programming, and just a different change of space. So I wanted to be able to kind of disconnect from my studio, from my functional medicine practice, and just kind of go to a beautiful gym. It overlooks the city in Boston, and a place that I would really enjoy doing cardio, that I would enjoy working out. And one of the reasons that I say this is that, the gym has this beautiful landscape view that I can see over a lot of the city, and I can see the State House. And I think I've shown and shared a few of these photos before on social media. But what happens is whenever I go to a gym, I can't help it, but I'm looking at people, how they're exercising, how they're working out. And I love it because one is I'm saying, okay, this person doing this exercise, oh, that's a great exercise. I haven't done that in years. But I'm also looking at that some things just never change. And, I remember, I think I probably joined my first gym a little over 20 years ago. So it's probably been like maybe 24 years ago. And I don't know, time does fly, but somewhere around there. And I remember it. I remember the very first gym that I joined, and it was called Fitness Foundry, I believe, in Arlington, Massachusetts. It was right near the high school that I went to. And after I got injured my Achilles tendon, and that was basically it for a lot of the sports that I enjoyed doing, basketball, track and field, cross country, etc., that I got into using the gym and exercise. And that was part of, when I got sick as well, I said, okay, what can I do to transform my body on the outside, because I know that right now I can't fix the inside. So it was a lot of fun. It was just, your regular small gym that I went to. Is probably like $9 a month. And, that's where I got my start. And I know that a lot of what I see today, let's round up to 25 years later, a lot of it's still the same. And what I want to tell you is that's not always a bad thing. So when I go back and I think about a few of the exercises that I did that got myself and personal training clients back then, a lot of the results that are overlooked today or not done enough still are two main exercises, and they're both lower body exercises. And I want to take you through those today. First thing I want to talk about is that too many people still believe that they don't have to train their legs with any type of weights or resistance. One, because they think they'll bulk up. Number two, they ride a bike, or they run, or they do an elliptical, and they consider that leg training. And I've gone over that before, but I'll touch on it today. And number three, that if they're doing training with their legs, they're taking away from what they really want to tone up, which a lot of times is their upper body or their stomach area. Now, there's a problem with all of those. So one is that if you train your legs, you're not going to bulk up. We talked about how you bulk up. But what happens is you actually get leaner, because training your legs is the foundation that you stand on for the rest of your body, and it's the most metabolic. You have 2/3 of your muscle, almost 2/3 of your muscle in your lower body. Let's say it takes up half your body, but it makes up 2/3 of the muscle, which means that's where the majority of the fat burning ability is going to be. or your body's ability to burn calories overall. So if you think about it, if we look at our hips, we've got this hollow pelvis, which is overall thinner bone, made with this big iliac crest, which is your hip bone. And you've got glutes. And those glutes, being the largest muscle in the body, they're supposed to be very metabolic, but we don't work them. And when we run and I see people bike, they're turned off. So you're not getting those glutes woken up. The second part is this. Forget about from the shins down. There's a little bit of muscle there, of course, your calves. But a lot of that muscle, it's all from the kneecap to the top of your hip. Because there's only one bone in the upper leg, and that's your femur. Everything around it is muscle. Now, if you put on body fat there, that's fine. We can burn that off. You're supposed to have some body fat, but not a lot. But the majority of the muscle's right there because it's one single bone. Now, you look at your upper body, your rib cage, all of that inside is not muscle, right? Those are all of our internal organs that are protected by this rib cage. That rib cage does a great job of protecting all of your vitals. The only thing it really doesn't protect is the bottom of that stomach and your intestines, and not your kidneys in the back either, right? A little bit, but not fully. But it protects your liver mainly, your spleen, protects the lungs, protects your heart, and does a great job of that. But it's not metabolic, right? So, in your arms, I talked about that on a previous Training Thursday podcast too. Not very metabolic. So if you're looking to really transform your body and you're not training your legs twice a week, there's something wrong. There really is. And I'm not saying that you need to do splits for your body parts. For most people who are working out 3 times a week or less, full body workouts are the way to go. Full body workouts, without a doubt. Hands down, no doubt about it. They're the most metabolic, you get the most work done, and you don't have to wait another week before training that body part. Now, if you do 4 or more days a week, well, then we can start talking about splits if you want. But for the most part, even when I have people do 4 days a week, it's still 3 full body workouts, and then we bring up whatever body part we want on that 4th day. Body parts, I should say, okay? And I also, as you heard before on the podcast, and I do want you to tune into previous Training Thursdays if this is new, is we talk about how to separate those days. We're not going to go through that today, all right? Went over, you're not going to bulk up. It's the most metabolic part of the body. And also, overall, again, with your programming, I like to mix it all in. I'll go upper body push, lower body pull, upper body pull, lower body push, for a workout. Super simple. I'll pick, let's say, a dumbbell or kettlebell overhead press. And then right after that press, I could do something such as the exercise that I'm going to explain to you in a moment, which is a Romanian deadlift. And then after that, I could do a pull-up or chin-up. It could be assisted if you wanted, or a pull-down. And then that would be the opposite of your shoulder press, your overhead press. And then you could do a push-based exercise. I'm going to give you a hybrid today. Then after that, now the main workout is really done. You can have some fun. You can do a little bit of core work. You could do chops. You can do a little bit of arm work if you want. You've earned it at that point. You did your 4 main core exercises. That's important to look at. So today I want to give you 2 of those exercises that I just think that are completely overlooked and they need to be added into people's programs. The second one you're going to be familiar with. This first one maybe not as much. And it's called a Bulgarian split squat. Oftentimes referred to as a Bulgarian split lunge. I think a split lunge is a more appropriate way for terminology to call this, and I'm going to link it up today. So let me have you head over to StephenCabral.com/1203. So 1203, StephenCabral.com/1203. And then for all previous podcasts, you can always just go to StephenCabral.com/podcasts. There are 1,202 previous podcasts before today. And I wanted to thank everyone. Actually, I want to take a little moment. I'm going to say it on Friday as well, but we hit 7 million downloads. And that, to me, is super exciting because, this started off as a podcast when I had this big clinic in Boston. And my goal was to say, well, we've maxed out in appointments. We're doing 20,000 appointments a year. I don't want to necessarily grow that. That was a huge, a part of what I do, and it still is today. But my goal was saying, I would love to be able to reach 20,000 people a day rather than just 20,000 people a year. How great would that be? Do what I do in a day as to what I was doing in a year. And it took me a while. I'm like, how do you make that happen? Because I'm always trying to just think bigger. Like, just think big. And again, what's the worst that can happen? It's just a thought exercise. That's it. And we did it. We did it last year. We started reaching 20,000 people, a day on the podcast. So appreciate you. Just wanted to give you a shout out. I thank you. I thank you always for your shares, for your reviews on iTunes and other podcast hosts, just for tuning in, being a part of this community. So I'll talk more about it Friday. Just wanted to give a quick thank you. Now, on to this exercise called the Bulgarian split squat. I'll put a photo, maybe even a video over at stevencabral.com/1203. But I'm going to describe it for you. You can do this at body weight starting out. And this is how we do it with all clients starting out. We have them put their back foot on a bench, a padded bench, or choose a box height you feel comfortable with. Put a mat on top of the box or an AirX pad. And that gives you a little bit of cushion. Now, you do not want to put the bottom ball of the foot on it because you don't want to push with the back leg. That's a big mistake, and that should be a big takeaway for you today. It's a huge mistake to push with the back leg. We're trying to just allow that back leg to balance us almost like a rudder when you're sailing, if you've ever sailed before. Okay? It's just steering you a little bit. That's it. Balancing. That's it. Almost like a centerboard on a small boat. So here's what we do. We put it flat. We put it from basically the ball of your sneaker, so that just the top of your sneaker or the top of the foot, not the whole ankle, flat on the top of the foot against that bench or pad, and just let it rest there. Then step out about 3 feet with your front foot. If you're a little shorter, not as far. If you're a little taller, a little further. But most people, about 3 feet, right? How do you measure 3 feet when you're at the gym? You don't have a ruler? Just use your sneaker. Just step out 3 sneakers length. That's it. Put your heel right there at that third sneaker length. Then, if it's your first time, hold on to one of those 36-inch, the 3-foot foam rollers. You know the ones I'm talking about, the big round foam rollers. Just put one with your opposite hand. So if your left leg is out in front, your right leg is up on the bench, put your right hand on the foam roller. Okay, you can look straight ahead. It will help you balance for right now. It will replace the leg that's missing, that's up on the bench. Now, what I want you to do is you're in a split position right now. I don't want you to do anything with the back leg except allow that knee to bend slowly towards the floor. And it will begin to bend. You don't want to hit the floor. You want to stop about an inch or two above it. And you want to slowly stretch the back quadricep of that leg. That's the front of the back leg. The IT band will begin to stretch a little bit just as it moves over to what's called the outside of the quadricep, the vastus lateralis. And it will also begin to open up your hip flexors, the psoas, which is basically right down where the groin is, okay? And that gets tight because we sit down all day in the exact opposite position. We sit and our legs are at a right angle in front of us. Our psoas, which is right at the groin, is tight. Our hamstrings in the back are tight. That is why we are doing this exercise. It is a beautiful corrective exercise. Not only does it help to build up, and when I say build up, I don't mean bulk up. I mean strengthen and fortify the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, and the calves. All the muscles of the lower body get worked during this one exercise. It's a hybrid. You could call it a push. You could call it a pull exercise. You're working both sides of the muscle groups. It's a lunge. So here's the thing. If you're doing it correctly, your legs look basically like 90-degree angles when you're towards the bottom. And if you're doing that, you should be sitting into the front glute. So if your left leg's in front, you should feel it stretch into your left glute. Now, on the back leg, you'll feel it stretch down the front of the quadricep. Don't overstretch. This is actually a stretch as well. It's a great stretch. And there's one more piece to this. A lot of people do it incorrectly because they lean forward. Remember, if you lean forward, it's most likely your body compensating because your psoas muscles, which are, again, those hip flexors, are extremely tight. So instead of your body stretching them, it says, oh, I know how to get around this. I'm just going to lean forward. Your job, though, is to keep your posture upright, to keep your rib cage lifted. Just lift that rib cage up towards the ceiling. It won't reach there. And what you'll do is you'll straighten out your posture. Keep your shoulders over your hips in your ears, over your shoulders. That'll be great posture. I want you to breathe in on the way down and out on the way up. If we were doing stretching or yoga, we would breathe out on the way down and in on the way up. Though, we're going to practice getting ready to lift some weight with this. Right now, we're just doing body weight. We're just getting used to the exercise. You breathe in on the way down, out on the way up. Nice and slow on the way down, and then you can push forcefully on the way up, but don't lose control. Don't get out of control with the exercise. Stay balanced. Once you're balanced, you can get rid of that foam roller, and then practice anywhere between 10 and 15 repetitions per leg, all on one leg, with no weight. Once you can do that for 2 to 3 sets for each leg, again, you'll do each leg one after the other, and take a break and move on to the next exercise, or you can do it as part of a circuit, right? So that's what I recommend. 2 exercises in a row, 3 exercises in a row, or maybe even 5 exercises in a row, one big circuit. So then you'll do this 2 to 3 times. When you can do that, no problem, 10 to 15 repetitions with body weight, that is when you'll add weight. How do you add weight to this exercise? At first, and as you're holding the weights by your side, keep your shoulders back. Do not lean forward. Do not bend your front knee toward your toes. That's what your body will want to do. Keep sitting back into that front glute. Breathe in, and then exhale, pushing up through that front leg. Do not use the back leg to push up. Use it just to balance. Amazing exercise. I'm telling you right now, that will help you begin to transform the shape of your legs. There's no doubt about it. It will transform the glutes. It will lift them up. It will give shape to your quadriceps in front of your leg, shape to your hamstrings, shape to your calves. It will strengthen your ankles, strengthen all of the fascia, strengthen the connective tissue around the knee. Keep that knee pointed straight ahead. Amazing exercise, totally overlooked, and that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention today. The next program you create, add this in. Just add it in. No doubt about it. It's an amazing exercise to do. Okay, the next one is the Romanian deadlift. People get confused with deadlifts. There's 2 types of ways to do a deadlift. There's the Olympic-style deadlift, which is, let's just say you're holding a bar or holding dumbbells, and you're basically squatting to the ground and standing back up. But you're bending your knees. So you look like you're doing a squat, but the weights are below the hips, which is making it a deadlift. You're dead lifting weights off the ground, or you're maybe not touching the ground, but you're going from a lower position up, all right? Now, a squat would be the weights are higher, above your head, or the majority of the weights on the upper body, even if you're just doing a body weight. So, a couple things here. The Romanian deadlift, there's very little bend in the knees. And this changes the exercise completely. A Romanian deadlift typically has no more than what's called 20 degrees of knee flexion. That means that you bend your knees to no more than a 20-degree angle. Now, a 90-degree angle would be a squat, right around there. Again, give or take, however deep you want to go. But this, it just stays at 20 degrees basically the whole time. Very little bend. And let's say that you're doing this with weights to start. What I want you to do is pull your shoulders back, keep dumbbells right by your side, safest way to do it to start, and push your hips back. So stand like about a foot away from a wall, maybe 6 inches to start. Push your hips backwards until you touch the wall. Don't lean on the wall, don't rest on the wall, but your goal is to push your hips behind your heels. As you do that, the weights will lower. They don't rotate in front. I see that too often. Too many people are prone to what's called kyphosis, or rounded shoulders. We don't need any more of that. So keep your hands neutral, just palms facing your sides, and allow your knuckles to just drag down your legs. Just allow them to fall straight down the legs. As you become more advanced, you can do different things with this exercise. Let's start here. And again, you never have to get more advanced than this because the weights can always go up and up and up. So what I want you to do is just allow yourself to push your hips back. As you do this, unlike the first exercise where you felt the stretch in the back hip flexor quad area, you're going to feel the stretch this time down the back of the legs, the hamstrings. It is the best exercise for building up strong, healthy hamstrings and arguably the glutes as well. Although many could argue the squat is the best for the glutes, and I'd probably be right there along with them. This is an exercise, though, because you're not going to squat all day long. This is another exercise to complement that. And those hamstrings, they connect up under the glutes, which is one more reason why the glutes and the hamstrings work together. So they're both major extensor muscles. And this is an exercise that stretches from the glutes all the way down to the calves and Achilles tendon. Now, the secondary muscle group that gets benefit is the lower back and upper back. And you might say, how is the lower back or upper back getting work? But it does this. Your lower back is staying in a neutral posture, your whole spine. And you're actually strengthening the lower back as you push your hips back. And then as you come to the top, you're pulling your shoulder blades back in together to work on your posture. It's this extra little bonus that I don't see people doing to work on their upper back and posture, to open up the chest. It just makes the whole body into a different postural design, which is how we're meant to be. Pull those shoulders back, pin them back. Don't overarch the back, just pull the shoulders back. Keep your core engaged. Great exercise. Very rarely does some variation of this exercise ever leave my program. I might be doing a one-leg reach. I might be doing a two-leg Romanian deadlift. I might be doing the barbells. I might be doing it almost like Zercher style, like a good morning where I'm holding the weight in front. Many different variations to that exercise where the weight goes. Just like different variations for the Bulgarian split squat or split lunge that I talked about earlier. Eventually, you could hold the weight in front, like a kettlebell even. Hold it like a goblet squat. Or you could hold the weights on top of your shoulders for the Bulgarian split squat. No matter how you decide to hold the weights, the best place to master is body weight and the weights by your side to start. I'm telling you right now, do these two exercises. Add them into your weekly routine, even if it's just once each, and even if it's just body weight. Within 6 weeks, if you stay consistent with this, you will see a difference in your posture, your core strength, without even really working the core, right? But it's getting worked. And you'll see a huge difference in the tone and shape of your legs. I'm telling you right now, these are exercises that everyone should be doing from a corrective perspective because they stretch those hamstrings that get tight during the day when you're seated, and they stretch the hip flexors with the Bulgarian split squat that gets tight as well. This will help your lower back pain, it will help your posture, and it will help the overall shape of your physique. Try them out. Let me know how it went. I would love to hear from you on Instagram, at CabralSupportGroup.com, however you want to reach us. Let me know how it goes. And then as always, please do feel free to share this information with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Head on over to episode 1203 today to see what those photos of the exercises look like. Take care. Bye. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to StephenCabral.com/rainbarrel.